Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. The Bloomington City Council met on November 5th. The meeting was centered on the proposed Stadium District redevelopment for the area around Miller Showers Park. The proposal drew both enthusiasm and skepticism from council members and local residents. Director of Economic and Sustainable Development for the city, Jane Cooper-Smith, began by explaining why this area was chosen for redevelopment and how that vision could potentially take shape.
This district, which is not just the Memorial Stadium and it's not just football, it is this whole complex that attracts, thousands and thousands of visitors to Bloomington. And it has its own vibe, and it is festive. It has an identity that flexes and changes with time. So if you're driving in, if you're commuting into Bloomington, it's got one identity at 8 a.m. on Monday. If you're here on a basketball night, there was a basketball game tonight, you can see the cones going up. And the district starts to change. For people who live in the area, some of them love this proximity and some of them are chagrined by the activity, the inconvenience of the traffic patterns changing. You can even hear music permeating the district when there are activities happening outside in the athletics complex area. From Dunn Street near Griffey, you can hear even the North Marching Band practicing in those football games. So there are elements that carry throughout the district, and I'm afraid that I haven't focused on selling it, and I haven't painted a real picture for why it's the Stadium District, but it's very purposeful that it be the Stadium District.
Senior Director of Government and Community Relations for the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce, Chris M.G., said he supported the concept of the Stadium District, adding that he believes it could attract development and visitors to the city's northwest side.
The Stadium District concept began 16 months ago, advanced by a Northside hotelier who recognized the potential for this area. It is not to displace, diminish neighborhood identity. Absolutely none of that. This is a commercial venture, not a neighborhood one. Neighborhood identity is going to stay the same. And so we'll talk about this further in the next public comment, but I want to make sure we realize where we're coming from and the improvements made to the boundaries from where they were earlier. Thank you for your time. I look forward to speaking again.
During public comment, local resident Paul Rousseau said he is skeptical of the proposal. Speaking on Zoom, he worried about how the name and vision might misrepresent the area.
I live a quarter-mile north of the Heartworks Brewery, and regarding the boundaries, I appreciate that my neighborhood, just to the west of College, a residential neighborhood, is not inside of this. I think that's appropriate. And what I'm mystified by is why the vast areas of College student housing between, just to the east of Showers Park, there are probably, oh my gosh, I don't know how many, 3, 4, 5,000 units of housing in there. And I don't know why that's in a district that is, whose purpose is primarily commercial. That doesn't make much sense for me. As an overall comment, I don't know if this is the time to say it. I know very little about this, just learned about it actually. And I'm wondering if one of the main purposes is to serve as a welcoming to people, because this is such a common gateway into Bloomington. Well then, why not call it that? The Gateway District, instead of the Stadium District? Because the name Stadium doesn't really seem to have anything to do with the purposes.
During council discussion, council member Kate Rosenbarger cautioned against moving too fast with the proposal before getting enough input from the public.
Some thoughts that I have around this, if we do postpone it, and so some good thoughts. I would like ESD to go to a Maple Heights Neighborhood Association meeting. I would like there to be a process for recommending and choosing a name for this district. This happened for Eagleton Avenue. It's one street. This is an entire district. I think it's a lot more meaningful to everyone, like residents of our city, if they're involved in something like that, and I think there's a lot more buy-in. I know some businesses like the name Stadium District, but I have not heard a resident say that they like it or they want to live in or near it, and that is problematic for me.
Councilmember Matt Flaherty said in his view, this discussion shows how complicated redevelopment efforts can be. He said that the city cannot look at this as a purely commercial move and not focus on the residents in the neighborhood.
There's a book called Suburban Nation that I read 10 years ago that was probably the first urban planning book I read of now many urban planning books. And it introduces a concept about pods of development, and that the fundamental problem with development from the 1950s to, even today in some cases, but let's say 2000, is that we thought of everything as separate. Commercial here, residential, multifamily here, single family over here, business parks here. And it has a lot of negative effects. It really fragments a community. It creates highways in the middle of town, for instance, to get people around because we no longer have a connected network. And while that's not exactly what we're talking about here, I think it really resonates with what I found to be kind of wrong-headed, I guess, about thinking that this is just about commercial and that we can ignore the residential or just pull them out when the neighborhoods like Garden Hill and Maple Heights say that they really find this quite offensive and not at all attractive to them. So I think when I think of quality of place or Bloomington, strengthening Bloomington's identity, sense of place and pride, the things that are called out in the presentation from staff about what this is about, it just doesn't seem like this is it.
The council voted 7-1 to indefinitely postpone the Stadium District renaming. At the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission meeting on November 3rd, Commissioner Anna Killian Hansen presented information regarding the funding of community development block grant programs, social service and physical improvement projects, and where that funding will go. She said that the RDC has already received a grant of $53,000 from the Community Foundation toward the Hopewell project, and that those funds would likely go towards outreach sessions with developers, training sessions, and more.
It's to be used towards our initiatives at Hopewell South. So the way that we wrote it could be used for any of our outreach sessions with developers or lenders. We're doing some training sessions. It can be used for that. It can be used for our work with Flintlock. So it's pretty flexible, and we have not determined exactly what we're doing with it.
Next, the Commission discussed a Resolution 25-127 regarding infrastructure work in the southwest quadrant of Bloomington. The RDC has already set aside $5 million for the plan. Most of that funding would go towards road work, such as possible controlled signals or roundabouts and new intersections or passageways to reduce traffic. Assistant Attorney for the city, Dana Kerr, detailed some of the areas that would be targeted by the plan.
One location for a roadway would be connecting Vanguard. There's a small piece of Vanguard already here that was part of the PIC development. And then, so bringing it all the way up to Weimer, because most of Weimer, particularly in this area, is floodplain. There is also a one-lane bridge there that is dangerous. So development in this area, which is one of the few areas left in Bloomington to develop, will need more infrastructure for safety and with traffic flow and police and fire. So Vanguard is one of those. And Weimer Road then would become part of the trail system. Could be used for that. So at Tappan Weimer, back up for just a second. At Tappan Weimer, there would need to be probably a roundabout, either a controlled signal or a roundabout, and probably a roundabout. There would need to be an intersection connection here as well. Over on the right, you see this is Adams Street, and it ends just behind Summit Elementary School. And then go up a little bit. And then you have Adams that comes down here and ends. And this is part of the Summit development. And what this would do would create another north-south passageway between this part of town and the lower connection. And then Sudbury is this road. It's already to here, but it would come over. There'd probably be a roundabout structures there. And there would be some other roads inside the development that, wouldn't be anything that the RDC would do.
Travis Venzel, one of the developers for the Summit District, advised the commission to set aside some TIF money for the design and build phases of the project.
After much looking, all of Sudbury that's remaining, which is the Summit development, is within the TIF. It's within a couple of areas of expansion of the Tap Road TIFs, but all of the remaining 135 acres is in some part of the consolidated TIF as of now, from long discussions over the last 2 years with Hand and legal. So if something's changed from that, we haven't been notified, but it's all within the existing consolidated TIF. And I think that map even shows that. But that's our understanding after working with the city for a long time on that. We're here to ask for support of this because we came forward and we realized after doing a traffic study of 22 different intersections and road improvements that there was a lot of decisions that need to be made at the city on where the priorities were. There were intersections in that traffic study that failed today. There were intersections that needed work, some work now. There were intersections that would need work in 15 years. There's a couple of other projects stewing down there and trying to put these all together and anticipate which was coming first and which intersection was going to happen and who was responsible for which offsite improvement gave us great angst because we couldn't commit to what improvements we were going to do because if somebody else came along first, they would have to do that improvement and we would get shifted to another priority down the list.
Next, the commission discussed the plans for developing Hopewell South as a planned unit development, which would make building on the property more flexible. Killian Hansen explained.
The current R4 zoning would only allow for 28 homes across both those blocks. So,
And with the major, what was that number?
100, up to 118, somewhere
Yeah.
between 84 to 118 homes instead of just 28. So as you know, PUDs, you can write your own rules. It seemed like a much better avenue to go down than just trying to get variance after variance. Also, their original contract included the design work. They have been great to work with. They've made quite a bit of progress, but it did not include getting over the hump of our own internal barriers, which this is one of them, some zoning changes that are needed.
Kerr walked through the potential benefits of the PUD for the city.
And the nice thing about the PUD for the city is that, with the location that this is in, it's not, on main roads and things like that. She has done this, Ally has done this in a lot of other locations with great success. But if Bloomington decides, we really don't want to change the UDO entirely to allow these things to happen, this can be like a pilot test for this and see how well it does it. How well does it give us that affordable housing, which my understanding is the RDC's number one goal, number one goals for Hopewell South is to spend as little as necessary to get the project off the ground and done, plus to maximize the affordability of the houses. And when you talk about things like the right-of-ways, widths of the roads, that can be very limiting. And the goal is that in 200 years, all of our roads would be of this larger size and things. But the fact of the matter is, if you go south on Fairview, it's not very wide. So maybe it could, instead of being 60 foot, it could be something less than 60 foot. I don't know why. I don't know what they're going to propose. I'm not the architect engineer, but I do know that when you don't give up as much right of way, that gives you more land to develop. Mm-hmm. And that gives you the opportunity for more houses. But all the considerations are going. There's discussions about, fire trucks and trash collection and different things like that are ongoing, because, we just want to make sure these kind of things are considered, and they are being considered. Valley has actually provided some extremely detailed answers to some of the questions that's been asked so far. So again, going through the PUD process is not something that the city normally does, an activity. Yes, they review them, but we don't create them, and we need the assistance of somebody that knows the project, knows the UDO. Her company has already reviewed the entire UDO and knows what would work with it and what wouldn't. And so, in my opinion, she's the best one situated. Her company is to help us get the PUD and make sure that we get what is going to do the very most. Again, increase right of way, increase infrastructure cost, and such. Decrease right of way, get you more affordable housing. So there's all those benefits of having the PUD. If we tried to go to variances again, there'd just be too many necessary. So we're just being encouraged to go the route of the PUD. And again, I do believe her company's best fitted to help us get through that.
The motion passed unanimously. The Monroe County Commissioners met on Thursday, November 6th. At the start of the meeting, Commissioner Jody Madeira spoke on Operation Greenlight for Veterans.
Operation Greenlight for Veterans. Whereas the residents of Monroe County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces, and the contributions and sacrifices of those who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And Monroe County seeks to honor individuals who have made countless sacrifices for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans of foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year, and approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life soon. And studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for Veterans. And Monroe County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 4th through 11th, 2025, as Operation Greenlight for Veterans, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifices of those transitioning from active service, and encourage Monroe County citizens to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of their place of business or residence from November 4th through 11th, 2025. Proclaimed the 6th day of November, 2025, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners.
Next, Veteran Service Officer Stephen Miller made some Veterans Day announcements.
My office is going to be supporting a number of Veterans Day events starting today. Directly after this, I'm heading up to Meadowood from 11 to 2 for a Veterans Day luncheon and book signing. Then on Veterans Day itself, We're going to be supporting an early morning coffee with veterans at Starbucks on Indiana Avenue with a number of IU folks. Then we're going to be at the IU flag raising. That starts at 7:30 a.m. Then we're going to be at the Veterans Day Breakfast Social at the Center for Veteran and Military Students from 8:30 to 11. And starting at 10:30, we're going to be at the American Legion for the Veterans Day program sponsored by them. And finally, on the day after, on the 12th, we're going to be hosting a Veterans Day employee appreciation event for all Monroe County government veteran and military members. We're going to have coffee and donuts, so if you have folks, please let them know about that. We're real excited. And then additionally, the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs has produced a program called Operation Emergency Food for SNAP beneficiaries. Folks whose SNAP benefits are in danger may apply for a Military Family Relief Fund grant that will pay up to the amount of the SNAP benefits. The couple of things that are of note, the benefit does count against the $2,500 maximum grant benefit per individual. So that is a consideration. And we're being told that they're processing checks as quickly as 72 hours. So if anyone has need, please reach out to my office. We're happy to help get folks connected to that benefit.
Then Monroe County's Fleet and Building Manager, Richard Kreider, spoke about the E&B Paving Maple Grove Road paving project.
The scope of work is drainage improvement, sidewalk repair and replacement, and asphalt replacement. On July 25th, we entered into an agreement with Specialty Engineering Group to provide professional services for the project. To date, design and development, construction documents have been completed. We're currently in the bidding phase. Notice to bidders was published on October 6th and October 23rd. A pre-bid meeting was held at Showers North on October 24th. And proposals were due by 10 a.m. this morning.
Lastly, Highway Director Lisa Ridge gave some insight on the traffic control and flagging stormwater project with Marshall Security, LLC.
We typically use temporary flagging on different projects throughout the year. So this is just an as-need basis. It's similar to the contract we've done with Security Pro in the past.
Before the meeting ended, Commissioner Julie Thomas delivered the sad news that longtime Monroe County civic leader and activist Charlotte Zitlow had passed away.
We had received the sad news yesterday of the passing of former County Commissioner Charlotte Zitlow, and it's one of those things where every time I walk in this building, I think about her efforts to ensure that this historic courthouse was preserved. And there are a number of other projects she's worked on, but I think this is probably the most visual in our community and the most visible, and the one we see most often as well. And I just really appreciate public service. And I appreciate her public service, and she will be missed by her family and friends.
The next Monroe County Commissioners meeting will take place on Thursday, November 13th. The Ellettsville Board of Parks and Recreation met on November 3rd. Rachel Peden McCarty of the Ellettsville History Center spoke to the commission to inquire about a budget to help fix issues at the History Center.
I just want to come tonight. It's been at least more than a year and a half too, with Chief Durnall at the Ellettsville History Center. He gave me a key. We've been working there. From time to time, I look up things for people. We've met people that want to see things or donate things. But now we have a regular Tuesday at 10 a.m. volunteer hour. And so we've had some people come, and we're trying to get it so we can have it open on a more regular basis. But I come to you tonight to let you know that, first of all. Second, and I talked to you, Mr. Darnold, we need someone to look at the computer there. Because I've never been able to turn it on. And I would like to see what potential budget we have to get display cases and things off tables in the future, and see how we can raise money. Maybe we can have something at the Spring Fling event.
McCarty also spoke about how the public can get involved.
Anybody watching on CATS, if they're interested in volunteering, you can always show up at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. If we're not going to be able to be there, I'll try and post a note on the door because we do have some other commitments. But or my name, Rachel Peden McCarty. You can find me on Facebook and send me a message, and
I'll see what I've got a fella I might bring with me tomorrow. See if he can just give us an idea of what we need to do.
Board President Jimmy Durnall agreed to work on finding an exact budget the next day and promised to follow up with McCarty. The Ellettsville Board of Parks and Recreation will meet again on Monday, December 1st. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.